Hello everybody, and welcome to another edition of the PSVR Chat Show. Today we are proud to be speaking with Jakub Pander, lead designer from Carbon Studios, about the Wizards Enhanced Edition that is being released today on PSVR. Today we'll be giving our information about the game, and Jakub has requested we challenge him the best we can. So we will do our best to do that for him. On the chairs in front of me, we have some wonderful people from the VR community, including many variations of content creators ranging from 3D artists, programmers, and content creators, including myself, Will from ThatGuyIsWill, Justin from Justin Incredible, Xelex, Dorkie the Akward, Velp, Solo from SoloVision, Noctauto, Jason the Livonator, our producer, Clarity from Clarity VR, Lady Juliana, and Lina. Please check these people out and subscribe to them for excellent VR content. We also have started a new channel for the show directly, so please subscribe and ring that bell so you know when a new show has been dropped. Thank you for joining us today, Jakub. I'm excited to talk to you about your game that is out today, and we are excited to talk to you about this. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to get more insight about your game. Please describe what people should expect when they load up your game today. What type of gameplay will they experience?
Well, first, thanks for having me. It's really great to be here with all these exciting people who are really putting this together. And regarding the Wizards, you can expect an epic adventure with lots of magic that you actually hold in your hands. So, yeah, you'll be on the lookout for that one.
Awesome. All right, so we've got some questions from our community. If you're fine with that. First up is Jason.
What kind of mechanics or gameplay did you have to adjust to meet the requirements for PSVR versus PCVR? And did you find these adjustments to be a minus or a plus for you?
Well, the main mechanics, the gesture-based spellcasting and movement were the main, both, I wouldn't say issues, but challenges to transform into the PlayStation Move controllers, but it opened our eyes for a different approach for different type of VR headset. So we had to toggle a bit the aiming, especially since the PlayStation VR requires only one camera. So we added a slide auto aim that follows your gaze, because every time you play in PlayStation VR, you're facing your camera. So we thought that this is a must-have within the combat and the casting of the spells. And regarding the movement, we knew that the community for PlayStation is a bit different than the PC VR. So we actually came forward to the community and we asked on Reddit what type of movement they would like to see. And many people pointed to other games, mainly Skyrim, and we've looked at that ourselves. We've played with it, and we find that it's really well done. So we thought that our basic movement will rely on the Skyrim scheme, and we'll add all the things that we have within our game. So it's both teleportation and free movement at the same time, but you can adjust both to your likeliness, and you can choose only to use one or both, or however you want it. So we really wanted to bring the best version for the players, because that's what really matters.
That's awesome. Thank you for doing that.
My pleasure.
All right, next we have Justin.
Yeah. So I heard a rumor, and some people weren't really happy with being trapped or stuck to fight in like a designated area. Personally, I find it pretty challenging. I actually like it. I find it a little bit more intense and a little bit more rewarding. Can you touch a little bit on why this was the route you guys chose for the design for fighting and getting into combat?
Yeah, sure. So constraining people to those arenas basically gives us more freedom within the designing of the combat and the choreography, let's say. We know exactly where the player can go, where the enemies can come from. So it's more streamlined, and we wanted the game to be more accessible for most people. So the more casual players will just shoot the enemies however they want, but more advanced players will try to navigate around the arena, find advantages and disadvantages of spells and the enemies. So we implemented that, but also we wanted to have the a bit limited scenarios, so we don't have to worry all about that, because our team is pretty small, and it was even smaller when we designed that. So we wanted to measure our strengths for the the effort and all that we can do.
Awesome. Yeah, I find it works really well. Definitely.
Thank you.
All right, next up is Dorkie.
Hi, so I want to go back to the spell casting and everything. I found that the hand gestures of the spells were not very forgiving, and if you got them wrong, it really wouldn't work. But I felt like they made the game more immersive. And I'm sure it was very challenging to make sure it was like accurate with the move controllers. How hard was it? How challenging was it to make sure that you were able to track the move controllers exact, so you had to be precise with the spell casting?
Oh, it was a very difficult task, both in the PC version and the PlayStation, since we wanted the people to master the spells. We didn't want to just press a button and wave your hand to summon the spell. We wanted them to feel like an actual wizard. So we tried to design those gestures so that you need to a bit practice to get them, especially the later spells. So that you are really feeling that you are getting better as a wizard. So that's the main difficulty curve, is how good you are and how much you are practicing. And we saw that with different playtesters, that after a while they got better at it.
Yeah, it was really immersive, definitely, and it definitely added to the game.
All right, next up is Solo.
So for the movement options, we saw you've added many options of moving, smooth moving, etc. What inspired you to implement these in the PSVR version of the game? And I must say that having a mix of the teleport being used to help and you survive, being able to free move, having those options is always phenomenal. So I do appreciate that, obviously. But yeah, I'm curious what your inspiration was.
Well, our main inspiration was our previous failures. With our previous game, Alice VR, we had only one mode of movement, and it didn't really work out for many players. In the first installment of the Wizards, we also had only one type of movement. It was the snap teleportation. And after a bit of talking and testing with many people, we decided that we are not going to constrain anyone in any mode. So we decided to implement both, because there are people who are only using free movement, and like they don't play any games with teleportation only or with teleportation at all. And there's also people who cannot stand free movement. So we wanted to appease everyone, and so they can enjoy the game, but especially the VR. So we decided to add those two options. And to the customization, we also saw how people were reacting positively to all the details that you can adjust for yourself, that you like the snap rotation to be 30 degrees or 45, or smooth or continuous rotation. So we decided to give as much to the players as we can, because we knew it would pay off and they would be happy. And when they are happy, then we are happy.
I have to ask, the wind sound on the first level, is that a real wind sound, or is that actually a couple people blowing air? Because it sounds great every time. I love it every time I hear it in there.
Actually, I've never thought about it, and at this point, I'm not sure which one is it. It could be both, a bit a mixture. I would have to ask our sound engineer, but right now, I really can't say.
That's great. I go along with the sound and do it every time I hear it. Just 'cause I love it that much. It's very entertaining to me.
All right.
Justin has another question.
Yeah, so where did you guys choose the lore from for the magic spells that you guys use in the Wizards? Were there hand gestures that were made up, or were they actually taken directly from something that inspired you?
Well, most of the gestures we designed to fit their purpose. So we didn't take it from any specific game, movie, or something like this. Our main goal was to make the gesture fluidly transfer into the gameplay. So the fireball is a projectile. You throw it. So we wanted after you make the gesture to summon it to be ready to throw it, and with the shield you automatically protect yourself with it as it summons, and the bow you draw it before you, so you're ready to shoot with it. So that was the main drive behind the gestures. And in terms of the spells, I guess everyone in the team had different inspirations. Some had Harry Potter, some had Lord of the Rings. So we all mix it up, and right now everyone is comparing it to something different. Some people say that they feel like Doctor Strange. Some people say Harry Potter, and it's nice to see all those variations because it's really fun to read those.
All right, and Solo has another question.
The fate cards, how do they come into play within the game, and are they used for a replayability factor, and how does that apply to scores and things like that? I'm just curious.
So there are a few features of the fate cards. As you said, they're good for replayability. Some people want to try the level with different setting. For example, make it harder. And it, of course, influences the score. We wanted to reward players that wanted to have something more of a fight during levels, but it also makes it can also be used for players to adjust the difficulty level for themselves. So if they feel that the enemies are too tough, they can weaken them. It would affect their score, but they'll still can get points for playing the level. And as you said, the replayability is there because we find some players that really enjoy getting the highest score, so they can use a fate card that reduces their hit points to 1 and also increase the speed or health of the enemies. So this is really like a hardcore level of difficulty, and they really want to see their name on the top of the high score, so they can get that too.
All right, I have a question. Can you give us an insight on what inspired you to add the extra levels found in the Enhanced Edition?
Yeah, sure. The main factor was that we wanted to expand on the story a bit. There were some bits that didn't make into the version that was available up till now, and we wanted to drop something big with this Enhanced Edition. And this level is, as we announced earlier, the biggest one in the game. Probably one of the hardest, but it's evenly distributed, and it's really like homage to our level design and how we expanded during the development and what we've learned during the almost 2 years journey.
Awesome. Yeah, we can take all the content. Just keep on giving us it. All right, Justin has another question.
Yeah, and just to kind of piggyback off of that, I thank you guys for adding in the extra bonus content and putting that in there for the PSVR players. And that's one benefit about being on PSVR is you do get the full package right off the bat. Now, to my question, will there be anything that we can find in these bonus areas that'll help enhance our character or benefit us in any way?
Yeah, there are some additional points that you can earn from the stage itself, and there's also a few collectibles like on the other levels, a few more Easter eggs than on the other levels, and overall I think that's personally our best looking level in the game.
And the arena gameplay, I have to say, is fantastic too. I just found myself running around in circles there trying to survive and doing the crystals. Was that in the original game, or was that just added for the PSVR version here?
This one was actually in the original game also, and we've added that for both the players that wanted some more action and endless aspect of it delivers on that. And it was also a nice bonus for VR arcades to have some challenge for the players that they can just jump into it, not like a campaign, just a challenge, then they can get as good as they can. Again, rise on the scoreboards and have fun just mastering the game.
I love the competition when it comes down to it. That keeps keeping people coming back. Don't you know your buddies beat you? You got to go back and you got to beat the score. Will knows all about that. That is the top. He's the top of most of these leaderboards out there. So,
There's always.
Thank you so much.
All right, Dorkie has another question.
So going back to the graphics and all of that, is there any pro enhancements for this game?
Yeah, there are some graphical features that are better on the Pro version. Mostly the particles effects and stuff like that.
Awesome. Always a plus.
Yeah.
All right, and Solo has another question.
Okay, so I have a question that I think everyone's thinking about here. And we know you mentioned that you have a new title in the works, maybe you're working on, you mentioned in prior interviews, and I am curious if you can give us any hints or insights as to what you have in store for us.
Oh, I would love to say more, but at this point where I cannot tell anything. But
what if we do charades? Can we do charades? Can we do that? Can we guess?
You can guess, but I won't give you an honest answer because there's.
That's the most
like,
honest answer you can give me.
Well, if you like the Wizards, the next game you'll like also. That's what I can say. Definitely.
Enough to get me
That's a
excited.
solid answer.
Yeah.
Yep.
I really would like to commend you on how involved you have been with the community. You've heard us and for giving us the best experience for the PSVR. I love how passionate you are about VR and the future it holds for all of us. I'd like to thank all of the 20 people at Carbon Studios for doing a wonderful job.
Thank you. The pleasure is all ours. It's really nice to see that people enjoy our game, and like the things you do here are like the best compliment that we can get to recreate environments and even mechanics from our game within here in Rec Room. It's really, really flattering.
It was our pleasure,
It was
man.
our pleasure.
Thank you.
Yep,
Our
yep.
pleasure.
Thank you.
It's our pleasure.
Thank you.
Love you.
How could we get in contact with you if we want to find out about future updates or games or any issues we have?
The best way, I guess, to contact us is our Discord. Discuss the Wizards. If you can probably find it on our website and anywhere that we're dropping by, and most people hang out there. So our team's there, fans, and all the people that want to get involved. So yeah, Discord is the best way.
Hey, so I had a question. I was going to ask if you guys had any plans to add on to the story or any extra content that you're going to give that explains more of what happened.
Well, we are thinking about the future of the Wizards. It's one of the points that we have on our let's say dashboard. But we'll share news if we think that's the right time to share anything about like the future of the Wizards or the sequel or anything regarding that. So you will be the first guys to know, because we'll try to announce it every way possible so everyone can get to know the news.
I'd love to see an Ultra Enhanced Edition.
For what, the PS5?
PlayStation aims
I think we're pushing our limits already, but
Yeah, I just have a question about are there any like spells that didn't make it in the game, like any fun ones that got scrapped because they were too ridiculous or just too powerful? Or
in the early stages of development, we had so many ideas that we couldn't fit it all in the game, so we had to narrow it down. But the first installment of one of the basic spells, Fireball, was actually a firebolt that you could shoot from your hand. And it was fun and all, but it reminded too much of shooting a gun, and we didn't want to feel we didn't want players to feel like they're shooting a gun in a game about the Wizards. So that one's changed to the projectile. And there were some ideas with changing the elements from fire to ice and stuff like that, but it also was too complicated and the gestures were too they were overlapping, and we wanted each gesture to be unique, but also remind of the spell, how it works and how it's used. So there was a lot of ideas, but we had to narrow it down for the sake of the game and so that actually we can deliver it, because there's a lot of things that go into creating even a single spell.
Yeah, don't want to be shooting guns in Wizard World.
One other question I had was the transition from levels that you guys had implemented. That was a very unique way to do it, and I was wondering what your inspiration for that was, because it's something I've never seen in any other game.
So the main inspiration was to use the motion controllers. We didn't want players to select the level from a list of menus or just click a button. So we decided that with a map, you could have the location on the physical map as you have in the game. And when we decided that there will be multiple stages from one region, we had to compact them into a single thing. So then from the region figure that you can see rose those those stages, and they're transitioned perfectly for the display of your score and to the motions of grabbing and putting things with your hands, because we wanted the interactions to be as VR friendly as possible, not just pointing things, just grabbing them and moving around, so you can actually feel that the 3D, the world around you.
Thanks for coming on the show, Jacob. It was a pleasure talking about your game.
It's a pleasure to be here. Really, really nice.
The Wizards releases today on the PSVR, and it's already available on Steam and Oculus.